Order as per the usual at this point. We're holding this quasi in person and on Zoom. We have some folks on Zoom, and then we have a majority of the board members are here this evening. So with that, would like the clerk to call the roll.
Trustee Guyer.
Here.
Trustee Spurling. Trustee Lee.
Yes.
Trustee Youngerman.
Yes.
Trustee Marisak.
Yes.
And Trustee Betzinger.
All right, we have a quorum this evening. I'll go ahead to public participation. This is the 2-minute opportunity for any member of the public to address the board. Did we have anybody submit online or in person this evening?
Not received any online or voicemail. We do have one in person.
Okay. If you could just state your name and address.
Well, most of you know I'm Todd Ellis. I'm the former water superintendent here. Good evening, trustees, Mr. President, Chief. The reason for my visit today is I'm curious of why we did not flush this spring. We have a lime softening plant that requires at least a minimum of 2 flushes a year, and that's Boulder Hill area, which is about 60% clogged pipe. You got my area and I'm in Arcos Lane out there with Fairfield. It's got 3 different issues with 3 older filters that need to be replaced because there's ammonia issues, which causes the free to be too low and the total to be too high. If you live out there, you got taste and odor issues. Why aren't we flushing? So that's all I needed to let you all know.
All right, Todd. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Any other comments? Email, voicemail, in person? Okay. And we will discuss that, Todd, and get back to you on that. All right, with that, I will move on to the consent agenda. I'll read the items and entertain a motion for approval. Minutes of the village board meeting of July 13th, accounts payable through July 23rd, 2020, and the appointment of Justin Van Voren to the Montgomery Development Fund Committee. It's a reappointment through September of 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Go ahead.
Trustee Youngerman.
Yes.
Trustee Marisak.
Yes.
Trustee Guyer.
Yes.
And Trustee Lee.
Yes.
That carries 4-0. Thank you. Under items for separate action this evening, we have 2. The first one is Ordinance 1881, amending the Village Code, Chapter 12, Offenses and Miscellaneous. This is the second reading. We talked about it at the last meeting, and I'll ask Jeff for a summary.
He drove all the way here, so Seth, come on down. You're the next contestant.
Nice. So I trust that you kind of get the gist of what we're talking about here. At the last meeting, we kind of had a more in-depth conversation as to what activities would be appropriate in our basins. Where we are today, we currently don't have an ordinance that bans it. I think we would be looking to pass an ordinance tonight that prohibits swimming and that kind of thing in these basins, because they, at least my understanding is, they're not designed for that. But if you could, based on working with these basins for the last X number of years, kind of what are they set up to do as far as recreation activities? Because honestly, I think folks use these for a lot of different purposes. Fishing is one of those, and just curious to hear what you think.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, just to, I guess, the intention of the basins, right? There's stormwater management basins. Most people call them ponds, but they all have inlet and outlet pipes, and sections, so they are man-made areas. They function to control temporarily for stormwater runoff after precipitation event, rains and all that. So they weren't exactly designed, it's not my understanding, for specific recreational activities. activities and their impacts are not on the basis, other than fishing, it's mostly just people walking around them or maybe viewing wildlife or something like that. So, I mean, there are trampled paths that exist where fishing activity is very frequent. It's not bad, right? I mean, people are going to fish the areas and they know where the good fishing spots are better than I do, or, people here do, so they go wherever they're gonna go, right? There's no real issues with that, current. If you're anticipating a great increase in the use for these different recreational activities, whether it be, I don't think fishing's gonna increase that much, but, boating or swimming or, I have an ordinance that, doesn't allow swimming, but, I guess if you're anticipating a large increase in the level of use for these recreational activities, it might make sense, in my opinion, to designate certain areas like a boat launch or, something like that. I don't really think it's gonna cause an issue from the standpoint of vegetation. There's, once again, really increased traffic and you have more trampling going on than what's happening right now. You could have like an erosion issue or something like that from the trampled paths, but currently there's no issues and I really don't foresee any unless you're anticipating a great increase.
Should we have designated fishing areas where there's a one path in and out? Or should they be able to kind of walk through wherever they want to walk through? They're going to anyway.
Right, they're gonna do it anyway, so we've tried this before in other, HOA settings or municipalities. And even if you designate the paths, the fisher people are still gonna go wherever they wanna go. So you now have designated paths and still the undesignated paths, so effectively more. So typically we don't necessarily recommend designating them. I mean, it's two sides of the same coin. It's not a bad thing, but if you already have enough use like you guys do, from the fishing people, I don't think that you necessarily need to designate certain areas. You could if you wanted to, but I don't think it's gonna make much difference.
My other question, and this isn't, it's related to this topic, but Balmorhea has kept, the residents of Balmorhea have kept notifying me about muskrat problems. I know that muskrat trapping and relocation is part of your contract with the village. Do we still have a problem out there? And if we do, is there a certain time of the year that we do trap, certain time of the year that we don't? How can we begin to solve that problem?
Sure, so to specifically address Balmorhea, Balmorhea Far West, which you guys all may or may not be familiar with, is the only one that we currently do trap on. And the reason that it is the only one and the reason we don't trap on the others is that, so Far West looks more like the rest of the basins throughout the village that most people would look at all the time. It's a large body of open, relatively open water. So that is much more conducive for the muskrats to want to burrow under, build their dens, and then ultimately it's when that den collapses is where the erosion kind of happens. The other basins are more, they function more like wetlands. They don't have large open bodies of water. The side slopes aren't as steep. They're just not generally very conducive to the muskrats being thriving. So sure, there's muskrats there, but they're not burrowing in and causing erosion issues like they are on Balmorhea Far West or
Okay.
the Blackberries or some of the others where we in Civic Center, every year there's well over a dozen muskrats that have taken up residence in the Civic Center. Always kind of somewhat surprising to me. It's close to Blackberry Creek, but it's kind of isolated.
When we trap those and we relocate those, I'm assuming we're relocating those out to Jack's house or somewhere else, right? Not,
Definitely not released.
okay. Those were my questions.
Perfect. Thank you. Any other questions?
I got one question.
Yeah.
How about boating? And we see a lot of this kayaks that are rubber floated, and it's getting more and more popular. And last night, some guy went out 7.5 miles out in Lake Michigan, and somebody said, well, they should have had lifeguards on duty, and I'm going at midnight? I mean, but is that a liability? I suppose a lawyer could answer. Is that a liability if we have not posted no boating, and somebody will say, well, I didn't know, so I went boating, and my kid got lost or something?
Sure, I definitely can't address the liability side of things, because I'm not an attorney. I share your concerns, and honestly, that's what I would be more concerned about in relation to the topic at hand, is the liability issues that are potentially there, not really the damage that's gonna happen to this.
Okay.
I share your concern, I unfortunately don't have a good answer for you.
Wait a minute, you're not an attorney?
Not tonight.
Just kidding. Laura, do you have comments?
I know you guys have worked this in the past, and there are certainly potential liability issues. It's nuanced analysis depending on the pond and, what you're doing and specifically what's posted, whether or not how easily you're making access available. I guess how much the village is either doing nothing or encouraging it, will depend on the level of liability that the village has. But certainly there is a risk, there's always a risk involved when you're opening up something for additional activities.
I get you. Okay.
What's the largest basin in the village? Which one and how many acres is it?
I don't recall off the top of my head, but, by surface area, Blackberry Crossing West Unit 2, the one you were mentioning.
Yeah, that's Concord and Gordon?
Exactly. That is most likely the largest one by surface area. It's also extremely shallow, as we were kind of talking about beforehand. So I wouldn't really be concerned about anybody wanting to do anything there. Well, you might sink up to your knees, in silt, but it's less than 2 feet deep, pretty much across the entire thing, except for the channel. There's several of the areas that are, Arbor Ridge, historically, there's mostly residents, I think, that kind of store their kayaks or canoes or whatever. I think they put a boat out there every once in a while to fish or whatever they want to do. We don't see a lot of boating activity currently. What we do see, the report out more is storing a boat in a naturalized area or something like that. But, we personally don't see it. Lots of evidence of people fishing very regularly,
Mm-hmm.
which I personally consider a good thing.
All right.
Do you still see a lot of people mowing into the nationalized areas?
Gary, I'll call you back.
Not a lot, right? So, every year there's, it's usually adjacent homeowner. Every year there's 1 or 2 or 3. But we've definitely seen it trending downward. We
Okay.
had this contract for a while. I think it's trending downward. I don't think it's a big problem. I think it's an education thing still. It's probably a new homeowner or something like that that just probably didn't realize. I don't think it was generally done maliciously. Now, sometimes I think people want access to the pond that's in their backyard and they, mow their own straight down sort of thing. But
Do you see a lot of illegal dumping of yard waste?
a fair amount, but to compare it to other communities or other homeowners associations who work for a lot of HOAs, I don't think it's higher, and I honestly think that you guys have done a pretty decent job of education, so I think it's actually lower as a percentage-wise compared to what we see throughout some of the communities.
Okay, thank you.
Still, it's always going to be an issue, so I think ongoing education, I think, is the way to stem that.
Thank you,
So-
sir.
If there, Doug, did you have any questions or on this?
I'm good.
So the issue at hand is swimming. And so, and to be honest with you, I saw somebody in the basin near Manchester the other day when I was on a bike ride on a canoe, and I thought that I'm not looking to ban that, to be honest with you. I'm not looking to ban fishing from these basins, but they're not built for swimming. And so I'd serve it up to the board to see what you think. The way that this is drafted right now, no person or domestic animal shall bathe, swim, wade, wash, or otherwise enter or engage in recreational activities in any water or waterway within areas posted against it. So if we're going to pass an ordinance that bans swimming in our basins, I just want that to be in effect everywhere without having to buy and put up signs everywhere first. The signs can be a nice add-on to that, but I'd love to strike the better portion of that second sentence and allow folks to use the basin recreationally at their own risk. Just they can't swim in it. And that's the reason why we had the conversation in the first place.
Right, that's why I asked about how large the basins were, because how many signs do you post around a basin
Right.
that's 2 or 3 acres, you know?
Yeah.
1 sign, 2 signs, 50 signs?
Well, and we're here today because we had, some concerns about kids swimming in a basin. We haven't had issues with anything else. So I don't want to overcorrect and cause a problem that doesn't exist.
Yeah, if we could do it without signs, I'm in agreement, because I don't like sign pollution, and kind of detracts from the beauty of the basin if you,
And again, I think
Put a lot
most
of
people have enough common sense to realize that those aren't designed for swimming. And the intent, I believe, of us passing the ordinance was to give the police some teeth to actually have something to be able to enforce.
You go give those kids some tickets.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Better yet, buy them some common sense.
All right.
John,
Jeff, did you have
Matt
comments?
said that, not Youngerman.
Gosh, if that's quote of the year right there, I'm gonna be disappointed.
Thank you, Seth.
I just have to walk around with necessity signs. She says, really unless it's a based on my HOA, that we would need signs. But I believe most of the basins are ours, so.
Oh, so we can regulate the, Lakewood Creek Basin that's privately held?
You'd have to have some sort of agreement.
Okay.
On some postage, and then the ordinance violation would be against violating the sign that was posted on the basin that they allow you to enforce on the property, like the practice.
Gotcha. But without doing that, we own almost all the other basins. The village does.
So we could enforce in every basin right now, except for the one that's privately owned, in order to get approval from, and I can't remember which one it was.
Lakewood Creek.
Was it Lakewood Creek?
Yeah.
Would that require
Western?
a vote of the HOA? Or would the,
Assuming that that's what, you'd have to go by whatever their board
Yeah.
requires. So assuming, most of HOAs would require board action on their part too, but it would be board action on your part, and then whatever manner they approve.
Well,
But
and
it's-
since it's privately held, they could also have that rule themselves.
If
and
I'm not
issue tickets
mistaken, I
themselves.
believe the Lakewood Creek Basin is actually marked no swimming.
Yeah,
I
so,
think it's actually marked and posted.
The village is not involved itself in enforcing, HOA rules. It
Right.
would be a matter of
Yeah.
if this was a big enough problem and the village wanted to be involved and the HOA wanted the village involved, that would be how to do it. But typically, once there's HOA covenant, the village doesn't involve itself in enforcing.
the reason I brought up the Lakewood Creek West one last time was because of I think it was posted no fishing, it's a private basin. But regardless, if they had an enforcement agreement with the police, they could enforce the non-fishing at that private basin as well?
If the police or the village had an enforcement agreement with the private basin,
Okay, all right. That answers that then, that solves that.
it just dawned on me that nobody can hear you on Zoom. Next time you have to make comments. Do we have those other mics? All right. So sorry, Justin, Shar, John. All right, any other comments? I mean, can we strike the latter half of that whole sentence and just ban swimming?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Let's the chief,
Hold on.
let,
Banning swimming and allowing the boating and fishing. My only other question to you would be ice skating. You want to prohibit that?
Well, see, now, this is what happens when we start, you want to mute yours for a second? Because the Oswego Park District has ice skating on one of these basins that they regulate.
and ice fishing.
So if we get in a situation where we're banning, how do they still do that? I guess unless posted, it would be,
I mean, that's fine if you don't, that's just my, to me, it's a long line of swimming, we want something where they could fall in or.
it's a good point, it derails my conversation, thank you.
Because people do, they go out and they ice fish also.
On all of these?
Well, I think I've seen them out Foxmore Fairfield before, where they go out and ice fish. And that's another issue, another liability issue. So you're talking about in Seasons Ridge.
Right.
Oswego Park District owns those, and they go out and they have the red flag and the green flag and signs. And they take a core sample, and when it's safe, then they throw the green flag up, and then they actually plow off an area, a designated area.
I've skated there.
Yeah.
We want to prohibit it, it wouldn't affect them on their,
Yeah, but,
just like it wouldn't affect Lakewood.
yeah, but the Seasoned Rid Basin, who owns that? I suspect we do.
Thought it was Park District. Yeah,
No kidding.
yeah, the ones on Briarcliff, and then what about the two,
Fire cliffs, they always
the one behind Lakeside, and
Everything's
then
set
on
up.
the other side, are those HOA owned, or
clean
do
the
we
ice
own
for
those?
them, in fact, and I mark
So
it off.
we don't own anything in Seasons Ridge. Okay.
Okay, so what do you guys think?
I'm good with the, I think it's not a bad idea to ban the ice skating and ice fishing. And again, it's a liability issue.
Yeah,
That's fine.
Okay.
No issues with that.
and if it becomes an issue, we can address
Yeah,
it.
we'll deal with it.
So, as much fun as it would be to talk about this at a future meeting, let's vote on this tonight. And I'm gonna play attorney, sorry, Laura. Okay, so, no person or domestic animal shall bathe, swim, wade, wash, ice fish, or ice skate.
Or do you want to make it more broad than that? Enter the basin when ice covered? Because what if they're not ice fishing or ice skating, well, they're just out there? You kind of have the same issue, if somebody's on the ice.
Yeah,
That's
somebody
the-
mute his microphone.
Yeah.
What's that? You're wading above the water at that point.
Okay, just as long as we're covered. Laura can always adjust this.
Yeah, and this is all subject to your actual review. Ice skating, and that's it. That whole second sentence. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Motion?
Motion to approve as
Second.
changed?
Go ahead.
Trustee Marisak,
Yes.
Trustee Guyer,
Yes.
Trustee Lee,
Yes.
and Trustee Youngerman.
Yes.
All right, that carries 4-0. Thank you. Seth, thank you. Appreciate it. All right, the second item for action this evening is ordinance 1882, declaring surplus property. This is a waiver of first and passage on the second reading. DeWolf.
Thank you, Mr. President. Before you tonight is the surplus to declare these following items that were included in your packet. Surplus for the village public works department to put up for auction primarily. Currently, all of these vehicles that are included in pieces of equipment hold some residual value. Therefore, we will be marketing, upon approval tonight, we'll be marketing these vehicles as replacements become available. Some vehicles have already been replaced and therefore can be auctioned off immediately. Others will need to be held until the replacements can be acquired. So at this time, there's three police department vehicles. The following are a 2012 Chevy Tahoe, 2013 Chevy Tahoe, 2014 Ford Taurus. Those are all police department vehicles. Public Works also has a 2008 Chevy Silverado HD, as well as another identical 2008 Chevy Silverado HD. Fiberglass utility bed that has been deemed to the point where it's not conducive for the village to invest the money in that, but there is some residual value. And two Bobcat zero-turn turf mowers, as well as a vinyl light-duty snow pusher plow. Those are the following items that are up for consideration. So if there's any questions, I'm definitely happy to answer those at this time.
Thank you. Questions?
No.
Motion?
So moved. Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion? All right, call the roll. Thank you.
Trustee Marisak,
Yes.
Trustee Guyer,
Yes.
Trustee Lee,
Yep.
and Trustee Youngerman.
Yes.
And that carries unanimously. Thank you. All right, Moving on, our only item for discussion this evening is the Mill District Restaurants Stimulus Program that Director Young put together. And welcome.
Thank you, Mr. President. We talked about this at the beginning of the whole meeting before COVID-19 in conjunction with another proposed program. You might recall that we talked about incentives for senior housing, which we tend to bring back in the near future. But at that time, I believe it was in February, we talked about the idea of expanding our Montgomery Development Fund program to include incentives for restaurants specifically targeted for the Mill District and specifically for existing structures that are now vacant in the Mill District or our downtown. Also, looking at the possibility of some new construction for the type of building that we've been talking about for quite a while, repopulating, if you will, the downtown with 2 or 3-story mixed-use buildings. That could potentially include a restaurant pub, or some type of use that could be associated with food. Yeah. So we kind of modeled a program from Battle Creek, Michigan, that has done a significant improvement to their downtown by stimulating growth in the restaurant and pub industries with major incentives to bring people downtown, frankly, and that's the whole goal here. And what we'd like to do is move forward with an expansion. This would be the 4th program within the Montgomery Development Fund. We already have the low-interest program. We have the forgivable grant up to $10,000 for improvements. And earlier in the year, obviously, we put in place the COVID-19 response grants for local businesses. This would be the 4th program under the Montgomery Development Fund design program. So this hopefully would encourage restaurants to come and occupy existing structures that are now vacant, or create new construction to improve the walkability and the gathering spaces that we would have in the downtown area, outdoor cafes, outdoor dining options, as well as obviously the principal structure. So applicants would go through the process of the Montgomery Development Fund application program, and we recommend that we look at substantial subsidies of between $100,000 or $200,000 for each application. Any questions? Or one other point that I did not include in the report, which was the question was asked by one of the trustees, was how long would a business have to be in business? And much like any other part of the Montgomery Development Program, we call for a business to be operational for at least 3 years after receiving the funds. So otherwise, we could call back that rate. That would be included as a part of the overall.
Perfect.
Okay, go ahead.
No, go.
Would there be some kind of a mechanism, guidelines for the MDF fund program to apply so that, like a scale of, potential income from said, because there's a difference if it's a hot dog stand and it's a steakhouse. There's a pretty big difference between giving somebody $100,000 and $200,000. I'd come in and ask for 200, certainly.
We intended to put, like you suggested, graduate the scale based on the magnitude of the operation. You have 20 seats, you're basically, indoor operation, hot dog stand, whatever, on up to full-fledged restaurant with outdoor dining and liquor service. So that would be the gradient that you look at in terms of each application and how much would apply to your particular. So when we bring this back, that would be included
In that packet.
text in terms of how we would structure the grant.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, to be honest, if you're anybody buying any one of these buildings, you're going to come in and think that you rightfully should ask for the 200,000. And I think it'll be up to our committee to say, based on your investment, out-of-pocket expenses, 200 isn't, we can't justify that, but we can do X, and I think it can be lowered, or at least suggest that it's lowered.
Yeah, and that's,
We
I
would
just want
have
to
the
make sure
control
that
over that.
there's a clear mechanism in place for that, because I know when we did the $5,000 grants, we went in a little fast and loose on some of that, and there was some thoughts after the fact that we probably could have put some parameters in to help guide us in making some of those choices and decisions and recommendations, so I just want to make sure.
There's definitely needs to be a, kind of a rating system, if you will, who will qualify for the maximum amount. That would obviously include, major mechanical systems that need to be replaced, major, kitchen equipment that would need to be brought in. Grease traps are a major item in terms of expense to meet the current, proxymetric codes. So, based on the amount of projected improvements that we need to go into a structure or the establishment of a new structure and what the benefit would be on how many seats or how many patrons would be participating.
Okay.
And I know we're getting into the, at the ground level here, but this is big picture. This is a great investment in our downtown. We've been working on, trying to get restaurants to open up in the downtown. This is investing in the future of our downtown. So I appreciate you kind of putting this together. And, the best that we can do is to put this out there, serve it up to folks that have been looking, that we know are looking in the area, and invite them to our community. So I appreciate your help on this.
Rich, can you put after butcher shop, cafes, outdoor dining, can you put no mobile units? Yeah, because I don't see anything here where a mobile unit could run a lot and say, here I am.
And we probably would say no.
No, but this way they won't even ask.
Like a mobile food vendor,
Yeah.
where that's your primary operation, can't even apply. Yeah. Okay. All right, any other thoughts from the board? Obviously, we need to draft that up and hopefully get some comments from Teresa and Tom beforehand. All right, thank you. All right, anything new or unfinished?
I've got something, if I can. Every year, the Illinois section, American Water Works Association, ISAWWA, honors somebody with Water Professional of the Year award. And I just wanted to point out that EEI's Jeff Freeman received that this year. And just want to say, tell Jeff congratulations and job well done. He's been in the business for a lot of years. He's done a lot for the village and has been here for all the growth. And, yeah, good job.
That's awesome. I think that calls for a Freeman presentation.
I was just going to say,
at one of the
I've
meetings
been
coming up.
Freeman, in my tenure on this board, as limited as it is, I've been Freeman a few times, as we like to refer to it.
You know
But
what? And
congratulations to.
Just surprise us. I mean, it could be the aquifers, it could be, water chemistry. I mean, the river is a water supply, anything.
Just a Freeman
show up.
free-for-all. He can do whatever he'd like.
Please don't.
Breakpoint chlorination.
He's a really intelligent guy, and he does a really fine job for us, and I'm sure many other communities in Illinois, so it's certainly deserving for Jeff. Anything else? All right. Just going around the horn. Go ahead there, Packer fan.
How about the flushing? I know we usually don't answer those questions, but this could be a couple sentences, could complete the gentleman's answer, so.
Sure. A lot of the reason behind the flushing was due to the pandemic. A large amount of people that were home during the pandemic, as you know, flushing stirs up a lot of sediment in the pipe, which is what it's designed to do. But we felt that we were going to see a huge increase in water quality issues, laundries that were affected because of a large amount of people that were home. Also, mind you, we were working on a minimal work staff at that time. We were working alternate shifts, so flushing posed a lot of issues as far as that goes. We've also put out and started flushing in specific key locations, so that way we're ensuring that we're maintaining our free chlorine residual of 0.5, which is the EPA standard. So we felt that with what we've had to work with as far as the pandemic, we're able to sustain our free chlorine residuals throughout the system, and so we didn't feel the need to do it at this time. We're still evaluating whether or not we'll do it in the fall as scheduled typically, depending on where the pandemic takes us. As we know, this is a ever-changing situation with these conditions.
Yeah, and And I'll back you up on that. So at the start of the pandemic, we had daily and then became thrice weekly calls with the department heads. And I guess the goal in not doing that, or I guess the focal point was to ensure that we had free chlorine in the system. So I know you had folks going out to the extremities or certain key areas to make sure that even though we weren't doing the flushing right then, we had free chlorine in the system, so we had, safe and clean drinking water for our residents, so. Anything? All right, anybody else? All right, future meetings, will there be a plan commission on August 6th? All right, our next village board meeting is in this room, barring any changes, August 10th at 7 PM. And we do not have executive session, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Trustee Youngerman.
Yes.
Trustee Marisak.
Yes.
Trustee Guyer.
Yes.
And Trustee Lee.
Yes.
And we're adjourned. Thank you.
Yes.